You found your way back again. Oh, I'm so grateful to have you here. Hello, welcome to the third portion of the Self-Mastery Earth Survival Guide, the Transmutation and Alchemic processes. In this video, we are going to be reviewing what it looks like to transmute and alchemize energy in various perspectives, and also integrating in the ideas of the energetic capacity in this process. So with that, on to the video. So in this portion of the video, we're going to be talking about how to utilize transmutation and alchemization to basically transform energy, into how to navigate once we've gotten to the point where the self-regulatory process is like, we got it down, we know what we're doing in there. Well, maybe kinda, because it's like a multi-layered process, as is this entire thing. Got a ring in my ear as I said that, so. This process again does intertwine with the circle of awareness and the energetic capacity, and we will move on to that later in this section. The first thing I want to start with is the difference between transmutation and alchemy and alchemization. So when I was sitting with this, because to me the words feel different. To me they feel very different. Alchemy in the context of physics is changing one piece of matter into another piece of matter. You are changing it, what have you. In the perspective of a higher vibration, transmutation is the co-creative process exists there. Alchemization is the process of surrendering to the energy and the shift that takes place. In transmutation, it's a co-creative effort, so there's multiple things that are impacting that. In alchemy, there's the act of surrender, and so there's no, like, it's the flow of it. Now, immediately, I'm like, part of me wants to be like, well, I am not trying to control the energy or what have you, but the reality is that we're not going to wake up one day and be just, like, prepared to alchemize, because in order to get to the point where you can surrender all of your belief systems, you have to know what your belief systems are, you have to know the routes in which they go, and you have to know how these things move through you in order to be at a point to surrender to the depths of alchemy. Alchemy, specifically that portion of this, is not limited to, like, the greater everything, you know, oh, well, once I'm up in the higher dimensions, I know, I know what's happening up there, so I'm set, I'm good. That's not what I'm saying, because alchemy is achievable at any step in the process, but it all depends on your ability to surrender. Transmutation is the awareness and like the, ooh, I'm gonna like, I have all the tools to paint this beautiful picture, this is how I'm gonna utilize energy to paint it. You know, alchemy is you've picked up the pencil and now it's like going for you. Okay? Is that, hopefully that gives a little bit more depth and information into the difference between the two. Now that we've discussed that portion, we're going to go ahead and move forward. In the first video, I discussed how your circle of awareness can expand outward and expand inward into what you are. In addition, when you are solid and within yourself, you can move up or down in your energetic capacity. That process is the transmutation and alchemic process. Sometimes this process is initiated consciously, other times it is not necessarily. Theoretically, once we bring it in, we can bring it up, and then our vibration is raised. Now that we understand the process of transmutation and how it can look potentially, the next step is establishing a protocol. Establishing a protocol for a transmutation process within yourself. This is where you have the opportunity to step into your co-creative power, because you can allow energy to be transmuted through you, and you can fight it the entire time it's moving through, or you can surrender to it and allow yourself to touch on these areas and expand further, as we talked about in the self-regulatory process. So what is the process? What's the process? What's the protocol? What is the rules? Basically, our first step is identifying the emotion that is currently in your circle of awareness, that is currently being experienced within your being. Identifying this emotion allows you to furthermore follow the track, follow the path that this emotion has ever created for you. within your beingness. Now, this could be for this life. This could apply at multiple levels of consciousness, because this could apply for this life. This could apply for a past life. This could apply for if you are, you know, a multidimensional, like, identify with that, time traveler. Regardless, this applies at any of the levels. When you find the path back to whatever core truth lies behind that emotion, that's where you can transmute. That's where you can fix. But okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Identify the emotion. First step. Second step, develop the train of thought. And I specifically say thought because this pathway was created not necessarily with just your heart space. Perhaps you are an individual who's been living from love for the your entire life. Given the circumstances at hand, I just don't know. I just don't know if that maybe is an accurate statement for the majority of you that will be watching this video. So, identify the train of thought that got associated with this emotion that you just identified. Step 3. The thought also represents the belief system itself. So, that is that pathway we're talking about. That's the belief system. If I have this emotion and it puts me through, I go through this step, this step, this step, now I'm here. And where have I gotten to? The core belief, and that is step 3. Step 3 is identifying the core truth that stands behind the belief system that we just traveled to. Because when we identify the core truth, we can reshape how we work with that. We can shape if we want to choose to continue identifying with it. You're going to get the option to shift your core truth or repeat the cycle. And mind you, again, this is from a detached standpoint, so we're not casting judgment in this space. And that's the most important thing, again, and I'm going to continue to repeat this throughout this process. There is not judgment being cast itself through the understanding and integration of all the knowledge being shared. Step 4 is to determine how you want to continue. Again, it is the choice of shifting the core truth or repeating a cycle that core truth exists at. Now, when you are going through this process of almost checks and balances, if there's a part of you that still needs that piece to be repeated to like learn the lesson, or they're having a really hard time letting it go, we see this a lot with inner child work. The inner child needs to be sat with and be like, hey, you know, this is okay, we are gonna do this. And know that when you knowingly choose to repeat a cycle, that is not necessarily a bad thing. There have been many a times where I've been sitting and I'm like, I know that this is not how I operate energetically. I know that this isn't how I want to continue showing up. But I also know that my body, again, is needing to integrate that into the physical experience. So I will choose to make this decision in the patterning with how I'm currently showing up, but I'm going to allow grace and patience with myself as I shift and change through that process. And that is the not holding judgment. That is holding space for yourself, you know? Step 5 is develop an affirmation for yourself to remind yourself of this. Now, affirmations are something that at the beginning of this, I still am, I'm still very, very passionate about affirmations. Affirmations, I use them as cheat codes. Like, when you utilize words and language to resonate with your internal belief system, you're essentially encoding your body with these affirmations. When you say them, that is something that can pull your physical form into the awareness. Because the words that you're speaking are matching your energetic alignment, and your body's like, oh, yeah, we don't have to do that anymore. Yeah, we're shifted, we're different. So affirmations are so powerful, not only in the transmutation and alchemic process, but also just in the process of self-regulating and doing all of the things, because they are reminders and moments and that you can do anything. And when you are choosing and putting and pouring intention into the words that are spoken that are shifting your core belief system, you're changing your reality. Which is like kind of what we're doing around here. So when I say that affirmations are cheat codes, essentially these are reset phrases And they are default phrases that I can refer back to in the event that an old belief system arises. Even if I've integrated and worked through it, an old belief system arises, I can speak that affirmation and it's like, oh, neutralized. Boom. You said, oh wait, I don't have to worry about that because of this, and this. It's that logical. You tap into the logical side of things, your body's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And that's what we're doing. You know, these are ways that we can utilize the way the mind works to have this be one unit, to have this be one team. So now I'd like to talk about the co-creative process. I've touched on co-creation a little bit in pieces throughout all of this. Specifically though, co-creation is the process to utilize the knowledge that stands behind one's own belief systems to knowingly and consciously shift their reality and experience. I like to say this is transmutation in action. As per the physical form, you know how it goes. Another example of co-creation in this process is I receive an emotion. Say I receive sadness and I start beginning to experience sadness from whatever event. But whatever event that took place is incredibly, deeply activating for me. And it is, in a sense, that is challenging my true core belief systems, my true soul frequency. So now I'm in this position. I'm consciously aware of what is happening, but I'm also still having to experience this because another key part of this is your circle of awareness. Even if you are tight and you are locked in, aura is with yourself, you still can experience emotions. And that's part of the leveling up, because every time you raise your vibration, your energetic capacity gets bigger. And when your energetic capacity is bigger, you have the ability to process and move through these higher intensity emotions. And so I receive this massive trigger, this massive activation here. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, now I know this and I know that. Why is it still here? Awareness of emotions doesn't make them go away. Awareness of emotions is powerful in the right to experience life. It allows you to live moment to moment. Now, sometimes when multiple emotions get caught up and you have this massive triggering, it's like, you know what? Actually, I'm just going to go into my safe house. I'm not going to do anything externally. I'm just going to stay in my room, let the storm pass by, and chill out until this goes through. Because when you engage in them, it restarts or energizes the cycle. And so there have been many times, specifically in the last couple of months, where I'm seeing these old cycles play out, ones that I know I have shifted the core truth behind. And again, we tap into our affirmations and I say them. But there was a point in the last several months where there was so much happening, all I could do was stand in the middle of the chaos and allow it to run its course. And making that call for yourself and knowing where the boundary is within is going to make you a more powerful co-creator. Because not only are you sitting with yourself and allowing yourself to experience the emotions that are coming into your awareness, but you're also utilizing the opposite end of them to further your expansion. Once you know how to alchemize and how to transmute energy, of course, then comes the responsibility of spending your energy wisely. And that's going to be our next section, energy budgeting, where we talk about not only the energy that fuels us, but also how we can utilize our energy in the most meaningful ways in how we engage in our realities. When we take inventory of what we have, it shifts how we engage. Our hearts desire to expand past our current ways of being. We normalize and then wish to experience new things. In the next section, we break down not only energy budgeting, but also develop economic vibrational literacy concepts determining how you can best participate in your reality. With that, if you feel I have earned your subscription, any support is greatly appreciated. And finally, thank you for sitting with me. And I hope that you have a day where you hold space for whatever may come up for you.